Parts Select has been helping do-it-yourselfers save time and money on repairs for almost 20 years. Click on the link to our website below to find your parts fast. Hi, it's Steve. Today we'd like to help you to determine why your ice maker may not be producing ice. To do so, we should also understand how the ice maker actually works. A traditional ice maker in today's refrigerators is typically of the heat release design. Essentially how these work is they will fill with water through a fill valve that is located at the back of your refrigerator. Water will enter the ice maker into the fill cup and fill the mold. Freezing temperatures will turn that water into ice, and a sensor inside the head of that ice maker will detect that the mold is at freezing temperature and initiate a harvest cycle. There is a small motor located inside that control head, and that will rotate this ejector arm to push the ice cubes out. Now at the same time, a heater on the bottom is turned on to warm the mold up enough to break the bond between the ice and the mold. Once that bond is broken, that ejector arm will push the cubes out and dump them into a bin. The last portion of that cycle, the ice maker control will turn on the water valve again for about 7 to 9 seconds to fill the mold to begin the cycle all over again. Now the first step in our diagnosis will be to determine whether or not there is actually ice cubes in the mold. If there are no ice cubes in the mold, we should suspect that something did not turn on the water valve, either a defective water valve or possibly a defective control that sends power to that water valve. We'll begin by checking out the water valve. Now the first step in determining whether our water valve is working properly or not is to check our water supply. We'll begin by pulling the refrigerator forward enough that we can access the back of it. We'll locate the manual shutoff valve and turn off the water supply. We'll then disconnect the inlet to the water valve and then turn our manual valve on to verify that we do actually have water pressure at the valve. If we're satisfied that that is proper, we'll then look at the outlet tubing that goes to the ice maker. Most water valves on refrigerators, if they're a dual or triple or quadruple valve, the 1/4 inch tubing will be the one that runs to the ice maker. And you can typically just follow that tubing up the back of the refrigerator and it will enter the back of the cabinet where the ice maker is located. So we'll check that tubing to make sure that it's not restricted or frozen. We simply disconnect that tubing and then we can blow through it, and if air will pass through the tube, we can assume that the tubing is fine. Now the other thing that we should check in regards to the water valve is if your refrigerator has a filter on it, it may be restricted or plugged. So if it has a dispenser, simply try your dispenser and see what the water flow is like. And if it's very low or none at all, you would suspect that you have a bad filter and we'll need to change that. Now if we've determined that we have no restrictions in our water line and we do have water pressure, our next step will be to check the continuity of the solenoid on that valve that is associated with the ice maker. So locate that solenoid, and then using a multimeter, we'll check for continuity across those two terminals. If we verify that we have continuity, we know that that portion of the valve is okay. There is still a possibility that we have a mechanical defect inside of the valve, and the only way to really determine that is to have water inlet and outlet to it and then apply power to it either with a test cord or using the ice maker control itself. We'll demonstrate using a test cord to check that valve. So we've attached a test cord to this valve. Make sure that we use insulated terminal ends on your test cord. And normally the valve would still be connected to the refrigerator with our inlet water supply coming into it and tubing coming out going to the ice maker. We'll put it into a live outlet and water should flow through that valve. If it does not, we know that we have a mechanical defect within the valve. Now if you don't have access to a test cord to do a live check on that valve, if your model has two solenoids on it, one for the water dispenser and one for the ice maker, you could reverse those two harnesses, connect the one that would go to the dispenser solenoid onto the ice maker solenoid, then activate the water dispenser at the front of the refrigerator, and that should turn on the water valve for the ice maker and water should flow. If it does not, again, we would suspect an internal defect in that water valve. Now, if we've verified that our inlet water valve is working properly and we still are not getting any water through to the ice maker, we can suspect that perhaps the control on the front of the ice maker is not sending power down to that valve. So the first thing we'll want to check is the harness that connects between the ice maker control and the harness inside of your refrigerator. So make sure that is plugged in securely on both ends. Now, if that is secure, we may suspect that we have a problem inside the ice maker head. As mentioned earlier, as part of the harvest cycle on an ice maker, it will turn on the water valve at the very end of that harvest cycle for about 7 to 9 seconds. Now, we can test that with the ice maker in place in the refrigerator. We would simply pop the cover off the front, and you'll note there's a dial around the center of that, and on the outside of it you'll note that there are some test points that are indicated with some letters. And down in this position you'll see one that is marked with a V and another one that is marked with an L. The L indicates that it is a live voltage test point. The V indicates that is the port that goes to the fill valve. So if we made ourselves a jumper wire with either number 12 or number 14 gauge solid wire, we'll strip about 1 inch of the insulation off of either end, leave lots in the middle so that we can grasp it safely, because this will be a live voltage test. With the ice maker in place and the bail lever down, if we insert that jumper between the L and the V terminals and hold it in place, the water valve should come on. If it does, we can suspect that the problem lies inside the control head on the ice maker. Now, depending on the model of refrigerator that you have and the ice maker that is used in it, you may be able to purchase just the control, which comes with the motor, the shut-off mechanism, and the internal switches. Or you may be able to just purchase the complete ice maker as a unit. For more helpful repair videos, click the link on the screen here. And hit the subscribe button to follow us as we release new helpful repair videos.